All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the behind-the-scenes magic that gets your online shopping to your doorstep so incredibly fast. We hit buy on our phones, and almost like magic, a package arrives just hours later. But the reality? Well, it's far from magic. It's actually a highly choreographed, incredibly complex dance of logistics. Today, we're going to explore exactly how a major player in the logistics space used their own data to completely revolutionize their delivery times. And they did it without laying a single new brick.
I want to start by asking you to picture the sheer logistical nightmare of handling 5.3 million packages every single day. That is exactly what CJ Logistics does. As the largest logistics service provider in Korea, handling that kind of insane volume requires way more than just a fleet of trucks and a massive warehouse. It requires flawless precision. If even one tiny step in that sorting and delivery chain breaks down, the entire system can literally paralyze.
To really wrap our heads around the scale of the problem they were facing, check out this number. A massive 107.69% boom in e-retail sales between 2013 and 2017. That completely transformed the delivery landscape. As online shopping just exploded, consumer expectations totally shifted, right? People wanted their packages faster and in much larger quantities. For a company like CJ Logistics, this meant their daily delivery volume per person shot through the roof, and their physical sorting capacity was pushed to the absolute brink.
Now, to handle that crazy volume, CJ Logistics utilizes what's called a hub-and-spoke system. You can see here how everything filters through these massive central hub terminals. Packages from personal and company cargo flow from regional branches and smaller sub-terminals right into one giant centralized hub before being sorted and sent back out to their final destinations. It is a highly efficient way to route things for sure, but it has one glaring vulnerability: the hub itself. And that brings us to the hub terminal bottleneck. Just like a horrible, gridlocked traffic jam on a major highway, all this extra volume created a massive choke point at those hub terminals. Vehicles entering the hub physically have to wait for a loading or unloading dock to be assigned to them. When the volume surged, this dock allocation process became a total nightmare. Trucks were just sitting around, idling, waiting to be unloaded.
Between 2015 and 2017, this traffic jam meant more cargo was just left sitting on the docks, and overnight deliveries actually dropped. They were backed into a corner and desperately needed a solution, but, and here's the kicker, they had to do it without building entirely new facilities. I mean, the traditional approach would be to just buy more land, build bigger terminals, and hire more people, right? But that's incredibly expensive and way too slow. They needed a way to increase the capacity of the buildings they already had.
So, enter the heroes of our story. Yes, we are talking about dense corporate buzzwords, but let's actually demystify them, starting with big data. Honestly, it's simply the raw, massive volume of information a company generates. Every single time a package is scanned, a truck moves, or a dock is assigned, data is created. Just to put it into perspective, over a 3-month period, CJ Logistics gathered information on roughly 75 million inbound invoices and 240 million packages at just their Dejon hub alone. Now that is big data.
Next up is Big Data Analysis, or BDA. Having millions of data points doesn't actually help if you don't do anything with them. BDA acts like the ultimate GPS. It finds the hidden patterns and the absolute quickest routes inside all that messy, raw data. It's the process of taking information, like vehicle routes, transition points, moving times, and sorting personnel, and calculating the shortest distances and the most efficient combinations possible.
And finally, we have business intelligence, or BI. This is the piece that takes those GPS routes and actually uses them to steer the ship and make real-world operational decisions. BI is what bridges the gap between a fascinating but useless spreadsheet and actual results. It allows the management team right there on the floor to see the analyzed data in real time and use it to literally tell the truck driver exactly which dock to go to. So the crucial point here, the real game changer, is that instead of treating these as isolated tools or just relying on gut feelings, CJ Logistics connected them all into one organic decision-making engine. In the past, managers would assign a truck to a dock simply because, well, that dock had a lot of packages waiting, or maybe just based on their past experience. It was essentially guesswork. The new way integrated these technologies to create a system that could literally see the unseen flow of traffic inside the terminal. Let's look at exactly how they put this into practice to solve their bottleneck by replacing that guesswork with 2 specific, mathematically driven steps for truck dock allocation. Now, when a vehicle enters the gate, the system doesn't just point to a random empty space. It fires up 2 specific calculations to figure out, mathematically, exactly what should happen next to keep the entire building flowing perfectly. As you can see in this flowchart,
Step 1, or Objective Function 1, calculates exactly which waiting vehicle should be unloaded first, and it does this based on route priority and cargo type. It looks at the weighting factor of the load, like are these premium customers, is it fresh produce, special sales? It even tracks if a vehicle has been stuck waiting outside for more than 3 hours. This ensures that the most critical cargo moves into the building first, completely independent of human bias.
Then, right after that, Objective Function 2 kicks in to assign the absolute best unloading chute. Its goal is minimizing travel time and equalizing the traffic across the whole building. It calculates the volume by loading chute for each vehicle, figures out the physical travel time between different points, and effectively flattens out the congestion. It basically keeps all the moving parts inside that massive terminal perfectly balanced.
Which brings us to the climax, 57 minutes versus 10 minutes. Let's bring this down to a real-world example at the Daejeon Hub terminal on November 6, 2016. We're tracking one specific truck, vehicle number 98BA3490. Take a look at the top map. That purple dot shows where Human Logic sent the truck simply because that dock had the highest volume of packages to reload. It took over 57 minutes to unload. But look at the bottom map. The blue path is the route calculated by big data. By sending it to a different dock, the total travel time inside the facility was slashed to just 10 minutes and 36 seconds.
This is the part that absolutely blows my mind. That old gut feeling method, it was actually the 41st most efficient choice. 41st! It just proves that human intuition simply cannot process millions of data points the way BI can. The managers thought they were making the most logical choice by sending the truck to the busiest dock, but they couldn't physically calculate the cascading delays and travel times across the rest of the massive facility. The data revealed 40 better options before the one they had actually picked.
And listen, this wasn't just some one-off fluke. When applied across the entire fleet, this system slashed the average distribution time per vehicle by an incredible 16.3% in just one single year. Across the entire Daejeon Hub during the insanely busy Thanksgiving season, they shaved an average of over 8.5 minutes off every single vehicle's turnaround time. When you're processing millions of packages, those minutes add up to an astonishing amount of saved capacity.
So what's the big takeaway here? By integrating big data with business intelligence, CJ Logistics massively boosted their performance, and they didn't spend a single dime on new buildings. They reduced their remaining cargo by 14% and bumped up their overnight deliveries. They actually ended up rolling this system out countrywide, even subdividing models by days of the week, different seasons, and special events. It allowed them to squeeze absolute maximum efficiency out of the real estate they already owned.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to ponder. Before you try to build your way out of a problem, are you truly listening to what your own data is trying to tell you? CJ Logistics thought they were completely out of space, but it turned out they just needed to see the unseen pathways already hidden in their own operations. It's a pretty powerful reminder that sometimes the most valuable asset you have isn't a brand new building, it's the intelligence to use what you already have better